Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of this series, Outsmart Burnout, the Resilient Professional, whatever you want. So we want to avoid trouble and take good care of ourselves. So what is it about today? Cognitive restructuring. And where does this fit into the whole series? So we've talked about stress. We've talked about positive stress, negative stress. We've talked about compensatory stress, all types of things. We've talked about stress management and how to manage your stress. You have to work on your stresses. We've done that. Work on your buffer. We've partially done that by dealing with relaxation and working on your perception. And this is where this bit fits in today. We said that basically it's not what happens to you that causes the stress, but it's how you look at what happens to you. Yeah, and I just see okay, you see these huge devices here on my arm. I'm going to talk about them later. But right now you just have to look at them like I have to endure them. Okay, you're very tough. Anyway, cognitive restructuring. What does cognitive restructuring mean? Cognitive is your thoughts, and you're going to restructure them, meaning you're going to look at things from a different angle. You're going to look at things differently. It's also another word for reframing. If you think back of my story about Alicante, when I explained the stress management system, I went from Alicante to Alicante. And that made a big difference to my stress levels. Okay, so this time I'm going to show you something and I'll see if it works. It didn't work in the Dutch one, but here it should. Da-da-da-da-da, it does. Cognitive restructuring. The example I'm going to explain to you is one that I use in my courses as well. So if you had already a course with me, I'm afraid it's going to be the same story. But from experience, I know that even if you've heard something before, the next time you hear it, probably new things reach you for one reason or another. So bear with me. Okay, so years ago, more than 10 years ago, I did my own stress management course. And to explain cognitive restructuring, the teacher had us watch a documentary on a tape. And it was a show on cognitive restructuring. And there was this lady in the audience who was very stressed, and a coach walked her through the whole scheme. Obviously, there's different ways or different methods for cognitive restructuring. The one that I'm going to explain to you is A, B, C, D, E. And I'm going to explain this with the lady's example. So what was the situation that triggered her negative thoughts? She had to write a report. And it's not something that she had to do on a regular basis. So for her, it was quite stressful. If I remember correctly, she was working in some shop as a salesperson. And this was something she did for an evening class. So very stressful, very unusual, outside of her comfort zone. Okay, once they had determined this, the coach went immediately to stress level. How stressed are you out of 10? And she was quite stressed. She was 8 out of 10 stressed. Then he asked, he wanted to know how this manifested itself. So if you're stressed 8 out of 10, how are you feeling? And how are you behaving? So she was feeling very anxious, nervous, afraid, stressed, all of these things. Unwanted behavior, procrastination, she kept on postponing, she couldn't sleep at night, and she had heart palpitations. Now, 8 out of 10 stress is already quite stressed. Now, many people are going to think, yeah, but the whole reason for this stress is A. It is the situation, it's writing a paper. Well, actually, not necessarily, because there are people, probably also amongst those watching, who, when they have to write a paper, they don't feel 8 out of 10 stress. They don't mind, or they feel a little bit of stress. So it's not really the trigger that causes the stress, it just triggers it. The real stress comes from B, internal dialogue. What is internal dialogue? It's the voices in your head, even when you're not crazy. I think you know what I mean. So, what was her internal dialogue? So they had this little discussion about this. There were several. I'm just going to stick to 3 to explain the model. First thing was, it has to be perfect. I think this is a little voice that many of us have heard already. So it has to be perfect. That was one. Another one was, nobody will like it. And a third one was, I don't have enough time. So as I said, there were more, but I'm going to stick to this. Okay. So basically, it was these voices, these thoughts that are causing the 8 out of 10 stress. Because if you look at a report and you think, nobody's going to like it, it has to be perfect, and I don't have time, of course you're going to be stressed. The thing is, once in your brain the connection has been made, report 8 out of 10 stress, the damage is done. And every time you have to do a report, unless you work on this, of course, you're going to go into stress, stress. And you can't really undo this connection. It's like a street that has been cemented in your brain. But what you can do is you can create an alternative route. So instead of ABC, there could also be route ADE. So that whenever A presents itself, you have a choice. And you know how much I like the sentence, you always have a choice, right? Now, you cannot take the alternative route unless it has been created. And cognitive restructuring is exactly that. So what are you going to do? First, you're going to make an inventory of the internal dialogue that you have. And that might take a while because sometimes you have all of these beliefs that you're not even aware of, because those who have been looking and following closely, they already know that everything in the internal dialogue could be seen as possible limiting beliefs, right? So I repeat, what is cognitive restructuring? It's coming up with the whole list of your limiting beliefs regarding this particular situation, but not only that. Then it's about challenging these beliefs and checking, can I turn these possible limiting beliefs into D, more empowering beliefs that would make me less stressed and help me achieve something. So we're going to turn the limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs. Now, what is very important, it's not just about turning a stressful thought into a non-stressful thought, because it has to be true to you. It has to ring true. It has to be believable. What do I mean by that? Suppose you would also say it has to be perfect. Now, probably that means that you're a bit of a perfectionist. Okay, fine. Then turning it has to be perfect into D, I don't give a is not going to help, because that's not you. Remember from the logical levels from last week, values are a step higher than beliefs. And so your beliefs have to respect your values. You're not going to accept beliefs that go against your values. Okay. So, this being said, what happened? So, she listed her limiting beliefs, B, and then she discussed with the coach. I repeat, it's very important. The coach is there to challenge her, but the ultimate new beliefs, the ultimate sentences that come under D, have to come from her. It's not that the coach is going to push his empowering beliefs on her, because they might not be valid for her. Okay, it has to be perfect. They determined that there was like 2 problems with it has to be perfect. 1, has to, external pressure, not so nice. And 2, perfect. Now, the word perfect. What is perfect? What's perfect to me is maybe not perfect to you. What's perfect to me today might not be perfect anymore with what I know tomorrow. So, not so good. They turned it into I want to do my best. The I want to do my best respected her professionalism and her wanting to do well, but it also took into account circumstances, what is possible. So sometimes to do something perfectly, you need, let's say, 5 hours. But if they only give you an hour, you can't possibly want the exact same result in an hour as you would have had in 5 hours. Okay, so that was the first one. Second one, nobody will like it. I remember that one very carefully because very clearly, sorry. I remember the coach asking her, nobody? And she went, nobody, like really determined. And then he said, he tried to provoke her a little bit, I'm sure your mother will like it. My mother doesn't do reports. So obviously this wasn't working. Then he asked, can you imagine that there are some people that might like it? Is it possible? 1, 2, 3. And then she said, yeah, 2, maybe 3, yeah. Okay, who? She gave the names. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta. And so she turned the belief into some people might like it. Now, if you think about this, it could imply that many won't. But this was as far as she wanted to go. She was not ready to say some people might not like it, implying many will, because for her that was a bridge too far. And this needs to be respected. What is believable to her at this moment? The other one, the last one in my series, I don't have enough time. She turned that into, I'll use my time well. So maybe take some things off her plate, do some things a bit quicker, and so on and so forth. Now, what did we say in the logical levels? If you change your beliefs, you change your behavior. Here she worked on her beliefs. And so the test was, okay, how stressed do you feel right now? And actually, the coach didn't even have to ask her because she really looked differently. You could see it on her face. She was much more relaxed. And so, okay, before she felt 8 out of 10 stress. It didn't go to 0. Okay, let's be reasonable. This is not a Harry Potter movie. But it turned into, I think it became 4. Now, 4 is a big difference. 4 is possibly positive stress instead of the paralyzing stress. And so how did that manifest itself? Other feelings, no more anxious, but more excited. Behavior, she wanted to get started. She was going to ask some help. She knew this person could help her with this, another person could help her with that, and so on and so forth. So she really wanted to start. This is the cognitive restructuring. Okay, so 2 ways of doing this. You start from your stress out of blah, blah, blah. C, you go to A, what's triggering this? And then you do, what's my internal dialogue? B, from B you go to D, and then E automatically follows out of D. You can also start from A, so A, C, B, D. And again, E follows automatically. As I said, this is just a way of doing this. Now, if you're going to get started, there are some things that are important to know. You can totally do this on your own. I have for you on the nancybatens.eu site, under resources, there is a heading Cognitive Restructuring. And there you can download a template for doing this ABCDE template. There's even a sheet with some questions that could challenge your current limiting beliefs to turn them into more empowering beliefs. So that's under nancybatens.eu, resources, Cognitive Restructuring. Makes total sense, really. Now, sometimes you can't do it on your own. Sometimes, or you're too much in your problem and you can't see a way out. And so it's not possible. So you can do it with a coach, but you can also do it with a person you know. But choose that person wisely. What do I mean? Do not choose a person who hates that specific thing even more than you. So suppose you are the person who hates writing a report. And you're going to talk to your friend Mary, who hates reports even more than you. So you're talking, yeah, it has to be perfect. And she goes, yeah, it does, and it never is. Oh, okay. Nobody will like it. No, they never do. I don't have enough time. Oh, I wouldn't start if I were you. Well, at the end of the conversation, you feel like jumping out of the window. So, Mary can be excellent for other things, but not for this. Then there's John. And you love John dearly, but John doesn't have the same perfectionism as you, let's say. So you even think that sometimes his work is a little bit iffy. You know, like a bit careless. He doesn't really pay attention to details. So if you did this with him, and you would go, it has to be perfect. No, it doesn't. They just want to work. Nobody will like it. Well, they don't have to like it. They ask you to do something, you just do it. If they don't like it, well, you did the work. I don't have enough time. 2 words. Copy, paste. That's not going to work either, because your value has not been respected. And again, John too can be an excellent friend for other things, but not for this. So you might need to do this with an even other friend, Peter, who doesn't mind reports and has your same work ethics when it comes to this. He could be the right person. 2 general questions that I sometimes get is, okay, what if I don't find any internal dialogue? You do, but just take some time and do not stop at 2 sentences, because there's usually much more. But sometimes it's a bit hidden. It's in your blind spot even sometimes. But just think a little bit and you'll find them. Second question I often get, what if I have 10 sentences in my B and I can only turn around 4, for instance? No problem whatsoever. Even if you only switch a couple of them, there's a little tweak, there's a little click in your brain, and it should be easier. Your stress levels should go down. So, I wish you all the best. Good luck with it. Go and check out the resources. And if you haven't yet, do sign up for the newsletter, or just in the blue box on top of the website, or in the pink one, and you receive 10 extra short video clips. And see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.